What's up, guys and gals? Today I want to talk about when your friends tell you that you're a complete idiot for looking into this crypto stuff, what's really at play there. And I want to also talk about the history of how we look at money and why people are afraid of these cryptos and things like that. So yeah, we're going to talk about those two things. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving crypto. It's a crypto channel for people who want to learn how to grow Ethereum, who want to learn about blockchains, who want to learn about how this stuff is going to change the world like forever. Like I'm talking like decentralized internets, social media networks that can never come down ever in a million years, no matter who wants to censor you. Like things are going to change fundamentally. It's going to be crazy. So subscribe to this channel. I have a few people, about 14 or 15 people that are now working with me on the Ethereum lending to the liquidity pools. If you sent me an email, I'm getting back to you. I've created a series of videos. We can go forward. I'm not here to sell you this stuff though. So if you want to get real hard skeptical on me and use quotes like loans and returns, it's not for you. That's totally cool. I'm not here begging people to send me Ethereum so I can get them some more Ethereum. But anyways, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for future notifications. All right, so we talk about your friends and family telling you to run in the opposite direction. There's airplanes above me, so you'll hear those during this video. And if I never pointed it out, you probably wouldn't have thought of it, so I shouldn't point it out. We get to your friends and family telling you that this is a bad idea. Well, why would they say that? And oftentimes you need to consider the source. Are your friends and family as broke as you are? If they are, why would they tell you that it's a bad idea when you look at it like maybe this is an opportunity that I can capitalize on? Well, that's simple. Your friends and family simply want to save you from either making a big mistake or being too successful and no longer being as broke as them. And they're not doing the latter part because they're evil or mean people or anything like that. They're doing the latter part because that's just human nature. It's kind of like when I met my wife, she said, because I was talking about some family members that I had in my life, and she said, well, they're crabs. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, if you put a bunch of crabs in a box, the box, the crab wants to climb out of the box, the other crabs just pull him down. By the way, my wife is from the Philippines, so she knows crab analogies. Shouts go out to our channel sponsor, Pinay Magazine on Instagram. Check them out. But anyways, they might be trying to hold you back from you being too successful, because if you all of a sudden got an extra $100,000 of net worth in a few years, where would you be with them? Would you be going and complaining and bitching and moaning about the same job, the same bills, the same stuff that you hate? You wouldn't have the same lifestyle. They might lose you. Then again, they might just be altruistic, and they might be worried about you making a big mistake. When you consider that with my program that I'm doing with folks, I'm not even asking for people more than $150 worth of Ethereum. And you're not even sending me fiat money. You're giving that to a commercial exchange. Is it a big mistake? I don't know. What if you walked away with an Ethereum token, an entire one, which is like $4,700 as of today after 6 weeks? Is that a big mistake? You have to weigh those options heavily on your own and get to that point. But I think also we need to think about why people will tell you to run in the opposite direction of this stuff, because we don't have the same views of money that we used to have. And people are not adverse to taking risks, even though the price of gasoline keeps going up on a daily basis, it seems, even though the prices of commodities keep going up, even though people are still not wanting to take any risks because they're afraid of change and they're afraid of risks. But consider something, okay? I have a friend who I talk to all the time, and yesterday he was telling me about a high-priced earner that he knows that is driving the nice car, has the nice handbags and the great wardrobe and the big house, but it's always broke all the time. That's because that person is basically leveraged out of their butts. They have so much money going out to people they owe bills to every month that they're walking around with no pocket money. They can't afford a nice dinner if they had to pay cash for it. And then you consider the fact that that person came to that other person and said, hey, I can get you into these cryptos. You can make some money. This one should have a 5 times return in a year. I'm thinking they went to their family member who works in securities, and their family member said, don't do that, run in the opposite direction. One of the people that's working with me on the DeFi lending program went to a friend of his because he's already seen a return, and he said, hey, I'm working with this guy. Send him $150 of Ethereum token or coin, and he's made it double, and he's going to double that. The guy said, run in the opposite direction. Don't do that. Going back to it, this is how we think about money, okay? Stick with me on this because I think it's worthwhile to consider. I went over to the Philippines in 2010 with my wife for the first time. We were at this little beach resort that was owned by a doctor who works in what's called PhilHealth, and PhilHealth is like their national healthcare system. Now, doctors in the Philippines make as much as maybe a receptionist at a high-end doctor's office in America. It's not a lot of money. And she was scrolling through her Facebook way back in 2010 going, sigh, I wish I would have gone to America. I would have the nice Lexus and the nice Louis Vuitton bag. And I mean, like, look, in the grand scheme of things, a Lexus is a nice car. My wife drives like an old used Lexus. It's in great shape, but it's not a Mercedes-Benz, and it's certainly not, it's certainly not a Bugatti, right? And a Louis Vuitton is a nice bag, but it ain't no Chanel, and a Chanel, I'm sure, is beaten out by something else. So it's all about how we look at it. But I told her, I said, you own a beach resort in the Philippines. They don't own anything. There's a good likelihood that most of your friends are basically paying for those things on credit and don't have walking around money. So here's the point of this, right? The second part of this video. Here's the point. So it's like this. If back in the turn of the century, when the 1800s turned into the 1900s, up until the 1970s, we had gold backing the dollar. People were less adverse to using credit for things because your dollars were your dollars, and you knew that they were worth what they were worth. And if you didn't have the money to pay for something, at one point credit cards didn't even exist. But we shifted our mindset to credit cards back in the 1960s, I believe it was. Bank of America, which was formed in California. And actually, Bank of America was formed as a bank to basically bank to immigrant people who were not getting easy terms with other banks because of racism. It existed back then. It was a thing. It's a thing now, but I'm not getting woke. I'm just telling you it was worse back then, right? In my opinion. Don't cancel me because I said that, but you know it was. We had laws restricting people of color from going into buildings back then, so that's a fact, Jack. Anyways, so Bank of America came out with the idea of a charge card, and the charge card was the old-fashioned, if you're old enough to remember, you would have a carbon statement, and it would be mailed in and all that. Nobody considered a charge card. Like, if you didn't have the money, you didn't buy it, right? And then flash forward from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, yes, believe it or not, it's 70 years ago. We now have a society that lives off of credit. We live off of credit. Everything is on credit. You can go to Walmart stores right now and buy a $50 item on credit. I don't know why you would buy a $50 item on credit. I guess maybe if you really got to buy your kid a video game or something like that for their birthday and you're broke. But you're okay with that. And the fact that you're okay with that and you can default on a $50 thing that's going to destroy your credit later on, that's a major problem. So my point is this. Your friends who are living on credit may not be doing any better than you, but they're still worried about you doing something and telling you that it's a bad idea. You have to consider the source with all this stuff. You have to look at people who are successful in this space, and you have to think, do I take a risk right now to change things forever? Because as I will always say at the end of this videos, don't be that guy who told you how he could have had Amazon stock back in the late 90s, early 2000s, but sold it all, or didn't invest in Google, or thought that Facebook was just a flash in the pan. Because those are the people that will tell you that they could be millionaires right now. Don't put yourself in that position in the future. So seriously, keep your options open when you're talking about this stuff to people, and just know that there are people that are doing good and people that are doing bad in this space. And for every one doing good, there might be 2 or 3 doing bad, but I'll leave it up to you because you're smart enough to find this video to figure all that out. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving crypto. If you like this video, just browsing through, leave us a subscription. If you dislike the video, go ahead and dislike it, but it won't matter soon because YouTube is removing the dislikes for reasons. Anyways, I gotta go. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Leave me a comment. 3, 2, 1, and click.